News reports suggest that China could be facing a growing cancer crisis, raising serious concerns about public health.
I just heard some absolutely shocking news. It's infuriating. Not long ago, Guangzhou hosted the 6th Precision Medicine Development Forum. An academic from the Chinese Academy of Engineering, Lin Dongxin, predicted that by 2040, the number of cancer patients in China could skyrocket to 400 million. Think about it. China's population is about 1.4 billion now. With the birth rate declining every year, it might drop to 1.2 billion by then. That means 1 in 3 people could have cancer, and that doesn't even include chronic illnesses or people with conditions like hypertension, high blood sugar, and high cholesterol. With about 15 years to go until 2040, what will things look like then? I'm 40 years old now, and I'm not even sure I'll be able to collect my pension. It's like people joke online. What's a pension? I bet on the government to take care of me in retirement, but the government is betting I won't live that long. Thinking about all this, it's completely shattered my worldview.
The woman also mentioned that ever since the former TV host and professor, Cui Yongyuan, raised concerns about genetically modified soybeans on Weibo a few years ago, she has been particularly cautious to avoid such products. But recent scandals such as reports of oil tanker edible oil blending and falsified ingredient labels at grocery brand Best Store have made her realize that food safety issues in China are no longer something she can simply avoid. She further questioned why none of the food safety incidents in recent years seem to have been genuinely resolved or led to the permanent closure of offending companies. In China, she said, ordinary citizens are always at the very bottom of the food chain. Entrusting food safety to those who have access to special supply chains is, quite frankly, misplaced trust. The video's comment section was filled with people expressing similar frustrations. One person wrote, quote, "I work in the funeral industry. Aside from car accidents, most cases are cancer or cardiovascular diseases, and it's happening to younger people." Another commented, quote, "My parents and grandparents had high blood pressure but never cancer. They didn't order takeout, drink soda, or eat out often. Everything they ate, even their cooking oil, was made at home, and they were healthy overall. But for our generation, every health checkup seems to find something wrong. Lots of minor issues that even doctors can't fully explain." It's clear that food safety has left a deep psychological scar on many Chinese people. Whenever the topic comes up, it evokes fear and anxiety, as if confronting a terrifying threat.
I just saw a post from a blogger saying that our food safety standards are absolutely perfect with no issues whatsoever. He even said that talking about ingredients without considering their dosage is just fear-mongering. Basically, he's claiming that food additives in China are never over the limit and are completely safe. But is that really true? If it is, then why do products like mooncakes, spicy snacks, and eggs exported to other countries get rejected? And what about the fact that even ants won't touch bread with additives in it? We are not trying to create panic or stir up trouble. This is about our personal safety. It's about our children, our next generation, and the very future of our country. How can babies start consuming food with additives from the moment they're born? Do the people making these claims not have kids of their own? Who is this so-called perfect food safety really for? Sure, one product may not exceed the additive limit, but what if a child eats 3 or 4 different kinds of these foods at once? Some people will say anything just for clicks and views.
There are also reports showing that China is now the leading country in the world for cancer cases.
Here's the harsh truth. China has become a cancer nation. You raise hormone-fed fish, I sell so-called miracle shrimp. You grow medicine herbs, he grows picture-perfect melons, chickens ready in 30 days, ducks in 60 days, and pork that reaches millions of households in just 2 months. Drugged vegetables, synthetic greens, noodles with borax, mooncakes with sodium erythritate, cakes that bring sweet death, sugary milk tea, meatballs with no meat, fish or crab. It's a vicious cycle. You harm me, I harm someone else, and the hospitals are laughing all the way to the bank.
A recent analysis by Hanzhou Biotechnology, in collaboration with the National Cancer Center, published in the Journal of the National Cancer Center, reveals that China ranks first globally in both new cancer cases and cancer-related deaths. The top 10 most common cancers include lung cancer, liver cancer, stomach cancer, breast cancer, and esophageal cancer. Among these, lung cancer holds the highest incidence and mortality rates in China. The report highlights that in 2022, the number of new cancer cases and deaths increased compared to previous years, with an estimated 4.8 million new cancer cases and about 2.6 million cancer-related deaths. This raises pressing questions. Why is the risk of cancer so high in China, and why is it continuing to rise? Why hasn't the government effectively addressed the issue? Could there be conflicts of interest involved? Experts believe that one of the major reasons for China's high cancer rates is the long-standing, unresolved problems in food safety. Despite years of public awareness and government action, issues like gutter oil, paraffin in rice, Sudan red in duck eggs, formaldehyde in hot pot broths, sulfur-treated tremella fungus, and melamine in baby formula continue to cast a shadow over the nation's food industry. The list doesn't end there. Scandals involving leather milk, clenbuterol, plasticizers, industrial gelatin, artificial sweeteners, and pesticides like shengongdan keep emerging. The sheer variety and frequency of these problems have left the public overwhelmed, with many describing it as, quote, technology-enhanced poison. In addition, the widespread popularity of food delivery in China has raised serious concerns about hygiene. Many fear that it has become a breeding ground for various viruses and bacteria, further exacerbating public health risks. This is a small shop that only handles food delivery and has no space for dine-in customers. I've been delivering food for a long time, and places like this often have very poor hygiene conditions. There are cockroaches crawling everywhere. It's far too common. A viral video has revealed shocking conditions at a food delivery restaurant in Chengdu, Sichuan, which ranks first in monthly sales with over 6,000 orders. The footage shows an extremely dirty kitchen with a damaged refrigerator holding spoiled food. A delivery rider warned customers about overly cheap food delivery options. He said, quote, "You have no idea how long the meat, vegetables, or barbecue items have been sitting out. Some might be even leftovers from other customers or unsold food refrozen to be microwaved and sent to you when ordered. Compared to today's food delivery practices, the infamous gutter oil scandal from years ago almost seems not that bad." Addressing why food safety problems remain unresolved, some point to the entangled interests of the CCP. Analysts argue that food safety concerns are a legacy of the Cultural Revolution, making them fundamentally a political issue. During the decade-long Cultural Revolution beginning in 1966, traditional Chinese values were decimated, leaving behind a society steeped in distrust. This pervasive wariness persisted even after the 1978 economic reforms, which ushered China into an era of economic prioritization. The pursuit of wealth widened the gap between rich and poor while fostering a profit above all mindset. Even Chinese citizens themselves lament the rise of materialism and worship of money. The resulting culture has bred corruption and a lack of empathy for others' well-being, creating fertile ground for recurring food safety scandals. These incidents reflect not just economic and regulatory failures, but also the erosion of social trust and accountability. The Chinese government has revised the food safety law after thorough preparations. Although the law and regulations are comprehensive, enforcement has been severely undermined. Corruption has allowed businesses to collude with officials, enabling them to legally register and produce toxic food products. This collusion, combined with non-compliance and law-breaking by enforcement authorities, has led to an increasingly severe food safety crisis that now terrifies the public. For instance, there is a recent case of a tanker truck transporting cooking oil without cleaning its storage tank after carrying coal-derived oil. The companies involved include the state-owned Sinograin and the private giant Hopeful Grain and Oil Group. This highlights why the profit chain behind food safety issues cannot be broken, because it's an integral part of the capitalist system in China. Local governments and departments exploit their authority for personal gain, turning food safety into a widespread and persistent problem. As a result, food safety in China has evolved into a system where, quote, everyone harms others and everyone is harmed by others, creating a vicious cycle that seems impossible to resolve. Mr. Lim from Fujian province once pointed out that China's food safety issues stem from four main factors. First, the widening wealth gap, where those producing harmful food products often come from the lower strata of society. Second, the Cultural Revolution led by Mao Zedong, which, quote, destroyed without rebuilding, eroding religious beliefs and traditional moral values. Third, a lack of awareness, where many fail to understand the dangers involved. Finally, government corruption and inaction, which allow these issues to persist. Food safety is a fundamental public welfare issue, one that directly impacts lives and requires strong legislation and enforcement to resolve. In Western countries governed by the rule of law, food safety is no longer a pressing issue. Ironically, what is a minor issue in countries with strong legal systems has become an incurable plague under the CCP's rule. Whilst toxic and harmful food products are commonplace in China, high-ranking CCP officials enjoy exclusive access to meticulously curated, quote, special supply foods. These, quote, special supply foods are green and pollution-free, designed to meet the basic needs of central government agencies. But it's important to note that special supply privileges are reserved exclusively for high-ranking officials and accessible to ordinary citizens. A Guangxi-based pro-democracy advocate, Li Ziyou, told foreign reporters, quote, special supply is a privilege for the CCP's elite interest groups. It's a symbol of power and status. These products are rare, and the rarity makes them valuable. If ordinary citizens could buy them, they wouldn't be called special supply. Another significant factor is China's severe air pollution. Reports indicate that the concentration of particulate matter in China far exceeds the levels recommended by the WHO. The WHO air quality guidelines suggest that a country's annual average for PM2.5, particulate matter with a diameter of 2.5 microns or smaller, should not exceed 10 micrograms per cubic meter. For PM10, the recommended annual average is 20 micrograms per cubic meter. PM2.5 poses the greatest health risk because these particulates penetrate deep into the lungs. Since records began, China's annual PM2.5 concentration has consistently exceeded the WHO recommendation by more than 5 times. A report by Finland's Center for Research and Energy and Clean Air, CREA, revealed that in the fourth quarter of 2023, half of China's cities failed to meet PM2.5 standards. By the first quarter of 2024, 41% of cities still recorded PM2.5 levels above the planned targets. The CREA report also highlighted that ozone levels failed to meet standards in 11 provincial capitals in 2023, worsening potential health risks. Beijing was specifically mentioned, with over 10% of its days from 2022 to 2023 blanketed by PM2.5 pollution. During these days, PM2.5 levels were more than double the national standard. The Global Burden of Disease (GBD) study, conducted by the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation, predicts that as China's population grows and life expectancy increases, deaths caused by air pollution-related cardiovascular and lung diseases will rise. By 2030, an estimated 1.3 million people are expected to die due to air pollution. A professor at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, Michael Brower, told The Guardian, quote, the same level of air pollution will have a greater impact on older adults and individuals with poor health. The prevalence of air pollution-related diseases will increase, particularly those that worsen with age, such as lung cancer, diabetes, chronic lung diseases, and heart conditions. Without significant ecological reforms, researchers warn that deaths linked to air pollution will continue to climb. China's aging population underscores its vulnerability to these health risks. Projections further estimate that between 2030 and 2060, if Chinese authorities fail to adopt more aggressive ecological policies, annual deaths related to air pollution could rise by 116,000 to 181,000 cases per year. Beyond health risks, air pollution also imposes significant economic costs on a nation. In China, it was estimated that in 2007, health issues caused by air pollution resulted in the loss of over 133 million workdays. This loss equated to about 1.34% of China's actual GDP and reduced household disposable income by about $90 billion US. According to the Rand Corporation, from 2000 to 2010, annual health and labor losses attributed to air pollution amounted to 6.5% of China's GDP. On another note, Some historians argue that the frequent occurrence of unusual diseases in China is tied to a decline in moral values. Looking back in history, plagues often struck during times of societal corruption and moral decay. For example, ancient Rome suffered 4 major plagues, claiming the lives of 60 to 80 million people. Similarly, the Ming Dynasty fell amidst an outbreak of the plague. Scholars have drawn parallels between these historical events in modern-day China. Alongside the rapid rise in cancer rates, other diseases are also spreading quickly across the country, creating an alarming reflection of past societal collapses. Recent reports reveal a surge in cluster infections at primary schools across several regions. According to the Sanya Center for Disease Control and Prevention, these cases were preliminarily identified as outbreaks of infectious diarrhea caused by norovirus. The likelihood of transmission through food is considered low, while the probability of spread through contact is extremely high. In addition to norovirus, mycoplasma pneumonia has overwhelmed hospitals in cities like Tianjin, Gansu, and Zhejiang, with pediatric outpatient visits doubling. On November 8th, local news reported a significant increase in cases in Zhengzhou, Henan province. Many people were experiencing persistent coughing and fevers, with some children already infected. While children filled pediatric hospitals, adults were overcrowding general hospitals. Over the past month, Guangdong has experienced a severe outbreak of dengue fever, with cases escalating sharply. Hospitals are at capacity, and in Foshan, dengue patients with fevers as high as 40 degrees Celsius are being sent home due to a lack of available beds. Data from the Guangdong Provincial Center for Disease Control and Prevention reported that between October 7th and October 13th, 2024, the province recorded over 2,000 new dengue fever cases. The cities with the highest numbers were Foshan and Guangzhou, both over 400 cases, and Shenzhen, over 200 cases. On average, weekly cases across a province have exceeded 1,000. Scholars caution that despite advances in medicine, infectious diseases remain a formidable threat. They emphasize that COVID-19 will not be the last pandemic, and the key lies in whether society can learn from these experiences.